My name is Caitlin Lara, and I'm 34. If you ask my family, I'm the dependable one. Dependable like direct deposit, dependable like a fire extinguisher under the sink. You don't notice me until the smoke is already in the curtains. The afternoon I sent $200 to my sister Claire, I was standing in the DMV under a buzzing exit sign that never quite turned off. The line crooked around a bank of scuffed chairs. A toddler was melting down behind me, full volume grief over a confiscated lollipop, and I was listening to a voice in my ear say, "Elegant," too many times to count. Claire had texted a Pinterest board titled, Evelyn's Baby Shower Aesthetic. Sage and rose, gold-rimmed plates, glass drink dispensers with floating citrus like a stock image of summertime. In the thread, she'd written, "Can you handle this part?" And then, like an invoice slid across a bar, a Venmo request for 6,000 and some change. She didn't ask if I could. She asked if I could handle it. I tapped my phone. Transfer sent. A chime. I stared at the number long enough for that toddler's cry to burn into the memory of it, as if $200 now sounded like a child who couldn't be consoled. The thing about being dependable is that everyone forgets how to ask. They just assume. Claire always said she wanted me involved, and I believed her. I had paid a semester of tuition once, floated my parents a month of rent more than once, covered repairs, groceries, the mystery line item that showed up under MESC emergencies. Money for me wasn't about power. It was about quiet, about removing the reason they might resent my son. When I got home, Tyler, 11, sleeves pushed to his elbows, graphite smudging the side of his hand, was curled on the couch with my phone. He likes GarageBand, stacking loops until his room sounds like a robot parade. My boyfriend, Ethan Morales, had left half an hour before for a late shift at the bar he manages, kissing my cheek and saying he'd swing by after close with tacos if the salsa isn't weaponized. We've been careful with each other, soft hands on a fragile door, no promises we can't keep, no pressure I can't breathe through. "Mom," Tyler called, not looking up. "Who's Hannah?" I didn't think anything of it. Maybe he'd found a stray voice memo from work. I reached for the phone. He didn't meet my eyes, just handed it over, then stood with his sketchbook and walked to his room without a sound. The memo's title was nothing, just numbers. I pressed play. Claire's voice, so clear it felt like she'd stepped into my kitchen. "Make sure to tell Caitlin, no kids. I know she'll ask. Her brat will ruin it. I'm serious. Tell her." Laughter. Another woman chimed in, higher, lighter. "Hannah." "I think I will. Honestly, I don't even know why she'd bring him. He's so much." More laughter, clinking glasses. The word elegant again, looped like a chorus. I didn't realize I'd stopped breathing until the memo ended and the refrigerator hummed back into the room. I could hear Tyler's pencil in his bedroom, a short scratch, then nothing. There's a moment, the moment between understanding and deciding, when everything goes still, like the second before a deer bolts. I stood in that pause long enough to feel the blood in my hands. Then I walked to his doorway. He was drawing a dog in a red cape. He'd colored the air under the paws with thin stripes, the way comic books show you motion. He didn't look at me when he asked, as if we'd rehearsed this line before. "Am I allowed to go to this one?" My mouth was dry. "Do you want to?" He shrugged, still not looking up. "I just don't want you to be alone." Tyler has always been careful with me like that, counting the cost of my disappointment even when I've told him it isn't his to carry. There have been birthday parties where his name was missing from the cake, group photos he was accidentally cropped out of, adults-only dinners where other kids still made the cut somehow. Each time I explained the world to him as if it were a complicated appliance. You just have to press these buttons in this order and it'll work. But the truth is, some people only know how to love a child who doesn't rearrange their idea of elegant. I sat beside him on the carpet and looked at his cape dog. "Hey," I said, "I'll be right back." In the kitchen, I set my phone on the counter and stared at the reflection of my face in the black glass. I thought about the DMV, about the toddler's howl braided into the sound of $200 leaving my account. I thought about Claire's "handle this part" and the board with gold-rimmed plates. I thought about Hannah's laugh. Who is Hannah to me? A voice with a perfect manicure, clinking a stemless flute against another woman's presumption. I pressed my phone to my ear and made a single small adjustment to one contract, the garden brunch catering with my name as the guarantor. My voice sounded like it belonged to a woman who organized spices alphabetically. The representative thanked me for my prompt attention to detail. I ended the call, then scrolled to power off. Silence. My house made its soft, familiar sounds, pipes clicking, the dogs shifting in dreams, the neighbor's garage door grumbling down. I exhaled. At 9:17 p.m., Ethan texted, "You good? I can swing back with those dangerous tacos." I typed, "We're okay. Rain check?" He sent a thumbs up, then, "Whatever you need, I'm here. No questions. No suggestion. Not a savior, just a steadiness I could lean against without explaining my weight." I went back to Tyler. He'd added stars to the dog's cape, an entire constellation that didn't exist before we needed it to. I kissed his head. "Be right back," I repeated, and he nodded as if we were sharing a code. I brushed my teeth. I folded the dish towel. The small, ordinary movements of a woman who, hours earlier, had believed family was a rope that never snapped. I climbed into bed and stared at the ceiling where the streetlight makes a rectangle of lemony light. Somewhere, people were saying elegant in rooms I had paid to decorate. When I woke, my phone buzzed like a live thing on the nightstand. I turned it on and watched the numbers climb. 61 missed calls, texts that multiplied by the second, voicemails stacking like plates in a sink. Claire's early messages were crying jag ellipses, soundtracked by breath. "I can't believe you did this. This was supposed to be special. You embarrassed me in front of everyone." By the third voicemail, the sobs curdled into something taut in a mirror. "You are cruel. You destroyed the most important day of my life besides my wedding." People were whispering, "You made me look crazy." I didn't respond, not to Claire, not to the unfamiliar numbers that read like a chorus of bridesmaids, not to my mother, whose message was diplomatic to the point of insult. "We don't support what Claire said about Tyler, but canceling the event the day before without warning, Caitlin, it was too much. She's pregnant. Think about the stress." It landed like a memo from someone who'd never once asked how many times I'd stood between my child and their idea of too much. I fed the dog. I ground coffee. I logged into the family account, the one that started as a vacation fund when Dad's heart scared us all and became the net that only I remembered to reinforce. Line by line, I traced contributions I'd made and slid them, cleanly, unemotionally, into a separate account with my name only. I removed myself from the original. I clicked into the family phone plan, started a new plan for Tyler and me, and said goodbye to the phone numbers that had been used to reach me with emergencies and expectations in the same breath. At 4:13 p.m., a knock stretched into a percussion line on my front door. My parents' silhouettes wavered through the frosted glass, like cypress trees in wind. Tyler was curled at my side with a mixing bowl of cereal, eyes on a space documentary where rocket fuel blooms white against a dark sky. He didn't ask who it was. For the first time in a long time, my son looked completely relaxed in his own home. I muted the TV. The knocking kept time with my pulse, then it stopped. A text pinged from my father. "You're better than this. Don't let one mistake burn the whole bridge." I stared at the words until they doubled. I wanted to text back. It wasn't one mistake. It was constant, tiny fires in the same corner. I just stopped being your extinguisher. Instead, I put my phone face down and turned the volume back up. The rocket lifted. The ground fell away. Tyler's mouth dropped open, the shape of awe. That night, I lay in bed and thought about signs, how people love to put them on easels, to set rules in calligraphy. No outside food, no cell phones, no children under 12. I hadn't seen that sign yet, not with my eyes, but I felt it moving toward me, the way you can feel a storm tightening the air. In the dark, a vow unspooled in me, quiet and absolute. My child would never again be the cost of someone else's aesthetic. And for the first time since the DMV, I slept. The next morning, sunlight crept across my kitchen tiles like it was afraid to wake me. The phone still buzzed in the other room, relentless, needy. I didn't check it. I poured Tyler a bowl of cereal, poured myself another cup of coffee, and let the silence stretch. When Ethan texted mid-morning, "You alive in there?" I typed back, "Barely, but steady." He replied with a heart, nothing else. He knows when not to fill the air. At 10:40, a new notification blinked. "Mom is calling." I let it ring. Then Dad. then a number labeled Claire, baby shower, as if my sister had rebranded herself for an event that no longer existed. The voicemails stacked again, crying first, then anger, then something performative, the tone she uses when she's expecting an audience. I recognized it from childhood, when she'd fall on the living room carpet and scream until someone carried her to her room like a martyr. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop and pulled up the vendor contract for the garden brunch, the one with my name still on the guarantee. I double-checked every clause: cancellation fees, refund timelines, transfer rights, all of it written in perfect legal calm. I paid the minimum penalties myself, just to make it clean. No loose ends, no leverage. By noon, the event no longer existed in any system but my sister's imagination. When the phone finally stopped buzzing, the quiet felt like a room with oxygen again. Tyler peeked from the hallway. "Is Aunt Claire mad?" I looked up from the kitchen counter. "Probably." He nodded, thoughtful, as if weighing whether that was a big deal. Then he went back to the living room, turning on his game console without another question. I envied his simplicity, the way he can walk away from noise without apology. At 2 p.m., a soft knock at my front door turned into 15 minutes of pounding. My parents. I saw their silhouettes again, my mom's shorter frame, my dad's taller shape, leaning in like he could see through the glass. "Caitlin," my mother's voice carried through the door, muffled but sharp. "We just want to talk." I didn't move. Tyler looked at me, cereal bowl in hand. "Should I open it?" "No, baby, not today." They knocked again. My mom's tone turned to pleading. "She's pregnant, Caitlin. You can't imagine what kind of stress." I turned the TV louder. A nature documentary this time. Whales crossing an ocean, steady and sure. Eventually the knocking stopped. My dad texted one more time. "You're better than this. Don't turn family into enemies." I looked at the message and whispered, "I didn't." They did. That night, I opened my laptop again. For years, we'd had a family emergency fund, a shared bank account that started when Dad had his heart scare. We each contributed something, but I'd been the one quietly refilling it, a few hundred here, a few thousand there. Whenever Mom mentioned just a bit short this month, I'd transferred money before she could even finish the sentence. Now I looked at that balance, $23,840. I went through the deposit records, every cent I'd added, and moved it into a separate account under my name. Then I removed myself from the shared one entirely. One clean click, gone. Next, I logged into our family phone plan, the one I'd been paying 70% of for years. Within minutes, I started a new plan just for me and Tyler. New numbers, new SIMs. I scheduled the change for midnight. By then, I wasn't angry, just finished. When the phone rang again, I almost laughed. It was Claire's husband, Nick, the kind of man who treated conflict like a team sport. His voicemail said, "I get that you're upset, but canceling a pregnant woman's baby shower? You went nuclear, Caitlin. Come on, she's your sister." I deleted it. That evening, Ethan stopped by with takeout anyway. He didn't mention the family. He just handed me a bag of noodles, kissed my temple, and said, "You look like you fought a dragon." I smiled faintly. "I think I won." He raised an eyebrow. "Do dragons usually cry this much after losing?" "Apparently." He grinned, then sat across from me, quietly twirling noodles on his fork. I didn't tell him everything. Not yet, but I let him stay until Tyler was asleep. When he left, he didn't try to fix me, just said, "Text me if the house starts to feel too quiet." After he drove away, I stood in the doorway watching his taillights fade. For once, the quiet felt deserved. At 11:59, my phone buzzed. Confirmation from the carrier. New plan activated. New numbers live. Just before bed, I logged out of the family group chat on Messenger, the one labeled the Laras. My last unread message from Mom said, "We don't support what Claire said, but you went too far. Please don't make this bigger than it is." I hovered my finger over the chat, then pressed Leave Group. That night, Tyler and I curled up on the couch, watching a space documentary. He leaned his head on my shoulder. "Mom? Yeah? Are we still family?" The question broke something quiet in me. "Of course," I said. "You and me, that's the family that matters." He smiled, small and sleepy. "Okay." When he drifted off, I muted the TV. Outside, rain started tapping on the window. Soft, rhythmic, almost forgiving. I looked at the blank spot on my phone screen where my family thread used to be and thought, maybe this is what healing looks like at first. Not peace, but absence. 2 weeks of silence should have felt peaceful. But in my family, silence was never peace. It was the inhale before the next explosion. I almost made it to a full 14 days without hearing from anyone. Then, one Tuesday morning, an envelope appeared in my mailbox. Pastel pink. My mother's handwriting, the kind she uses for sympathy cards and weddings. Inside was a gold-trimmed invitation. Please join us in celebrating Evelyn's arrival. A private welcome brunch for family and close friends. Sunday at noon. Claire's house. Dress code, garden casual. No mention of Tyler. I read it twice, flipped it over, as if there might be a hidden P.S. Of course your son is welcome. Nothing. That evening I texted my mother. Caitlin, is this kid-friendly or another elegant event? She replied within seconds. Don't be like that. Of course Tyler's invited. Vague, always vague. Tyler found the envelope on the counter later that night. He stared at the fancy lettering like it might burn him. Am I allowed to go to this one? He asked quietly. I swallowed. Do you want to? He shrugged. I just don't want you to be alone. That line again, like deja vu wearing new clothes. I told him I'd think about it. But even as I said it, a prickle ran down my spine. Something about the whole thing smelled staged. That feeling sharpened around 10:40 p.m. when a message from an old name lit my phone. Sasha, Claire's college roommate. We hadn't talked in over a year. Sasha. Hey, you didn't hear this from me, but there's a sign at the brunch entrance that says, "No kids under 12, please." Just thought you'd want to know. She attached a photo, grainy, taken at night, but unmistakable. An easel beside a balloon arch, the words printed in soft gold script. No children under 12. Thank you for understanding. Tyler was 11. I stared at the picture until my throat tightened. Claire had actually printed it, had it designed. For the first time in weeks, I felt the old heat rise, the one I'd promised myself I wouldn't touch again. But this time, I didn't let it burn me. I let it focus me. I didn't reply to Sasha. I didn't call my parents. I didn't text Claire. Instead, I walked into Tyler's room. He was already half asleep, sketchbook open beside him, a pencil balanced on his shoulder. Hey, kiddo, I whispered. How do you feel about a surprise trip this weekend? He blinked, groggy but curious. Where? I smiled. Somewhere that doesn't have any signs. Saturday morning, I packed a small overnight bag. By 7:30, we were on the road, 2 hours north, windows down, the early sun spilling through the windshield. I didn't tell him where we were going, just turned up the radio and let him sing along to whatever came on. We ended up in a quiet coastal town we'd never been to, rented a tiny Airbnb above a bakery. The smell of bread and sugar drifted through the floorboards. We got donuts for breakfast, wandered through antique shops, then spent the afternoon at a science museum with a temporary dinosaur exhibit. Tyler's eyes sparkled. He touched every display, asked 100 questions, laughed until his cheeks flushed pink. And for a moment, I forgot there was a world where my family existed. That night, after he fell asleep, I turned my phone back on. It nearly froze. 103 new messages, 47 voicemails, 18 missed calls. I scrolled, photos, tags, live videos. The first video autoplayed. Claire, standing in her backyard under a pale yellow parasol dress, holding baby Evelyn like a porcelain doll. Soft instrumental music played. She was surrounded by women in floral prints and wide smiles. I know not everyone could be here today, Claire said, voice trembling perfectly. But I just want to say, I forgive. I forgive the hurt, the anger, the silence, because I know we're all just doing our best. Polite gasps. Someone whispered, "You're so strong." Applause. I almost laughed. Claire had turned my silence into her redemption arc. But the worst part wasn't that speech. It came later, in another video, posted by one of her friends. Hannah again, standing with 2 women, mimosa in hand. Honestly, she said, Tyler's probably better off not being here. It's a baby brunch, not a daycare. They laughed. The clip lasted 9 seconds before it was deleted, but not before Sasha sent it to me directly. I saved it, watched it twice, then set the phone face down on the nightstand. The bakery smell drifted up again. Butter, sugar, yeast. Tyler stirred in his sleep, murmuring about the dinosaur exhibit. I pulled the blanket over him, my chest aching with equal parts grief and relief. On Sunday morning, I left my phone off entirely. We walked along the boardwalk, got ice cream at 10 a.m., and watched pelicans dive. At noon, the exact time Claire's brunch was beginning, Tyler was laughing so hard at a gull stealing someone's fries that I had to sit down just to watch him breathe. That laughter was worth more than any family apology I'd never get. When I finally turned my phone back on that evening, my screen exploded again. Dozens of messages, Facebook tags, even texts from distant cousins. My mother's latest voicemail said, "Claire really tried today. It was beautiful. I wish you'd been there." Then another text, seconds later. "She still wants to make things right. She even said she wants Tyler to meet Evelyn soon." I stared at the screen. They still didn't understand. They thought this was a standoff, a waiting game to see who'd cave first. But I wasn't waiting. I wasn't playing anymore. That night, I opened my laptop and watched the video again. Hannah's mimosa flashing in the light, her careless grin frozen mid-laugh. I didn't feel rage. Not anymore. Just something quieter, heavier, like standing in the hallway of a house that used to be mine, realizing all my things had already been moved out. I turned off the laptop, looked at Tyler curled up on the bed, and whispered to the dark, "You're never going to be anyone's punchline again." By Monday, the mimosa video had done what I never could. It told the truth without me saying a word. Someone from the local moms group had screen recorded it and posted it with the caption, "This is what neurodivergent kids are up against. Shameful." Within hours, the clip spread like perfume spilled on tile everywhere, impossible to clean up. By noon, Claire's comment section was a war zone. Her pastel photos filled with words like disgusting, ableist, and unforgivable. By 3, she had limited comments, made her Pinterest boards private, and deleted the baby shower album entirely. I didn't have to do a thing. The silence in my house that afternoon felt different. Not empty, but earned. Tyler was on the living room floor, building a Lego spaceship, humming to himself, no headphones, no fear of being too much. My phone buzzed. Mom, again. "Everyone's made mistakes, Caitlin. Claire's under a lot of pressure. She never meant it the way it sounded. Please don't let strangers online destroy your sister." Strangers? I thought. The people destroying Claire were her own words. I didn't reply. 3 nights later, a new number called. Dad. Unknown contact now, since I'd deleted the family thread. "Hey, kiddo." His voice started soft. Too soft, like he was already asking for something. "Your mom wants things back to normal. I want to stop choosing between my daughters." "I'm not asking you to choose," I said. He sighed. "Then just say you overreacted. It'll calm things down." My throat tightened. "Did you even listen to the recording, Dad?" He hesitated. "Context, Caitlin. You know how women talk. Sometimes people vent." I hung up. I sat in the parked car outside my house, hands trembling on the steering wheel, watching my porch light flicker. Inside, Tyler was watching cartoons. Safe. Ethan's car pulled up next to mine. He got out slowly, wordless, reading my face before he said anything. He didn't ask what happened. He just unlocked his passenger door and said, "Drive." We didn't talk until we hit the highway. The city lights blurred past like sparks. He turned on the radio, some soft acoustic song I used to play when I couldn't sleep. Finally, I said, "They think silence means surrender." Ethan kept his eyes on the road. "No, silence means you're done explaining." That night, after he dropped me off, I drafted an email. Not a text, not a message. Something that couldn't be misread as emotional or impulsive. Subject, boundaries. From now on, any communication with me will be by email only. Tyler and I will not attend family gatherings. I am done pretending this is fixable. I wish you well. I read it 3 times, checked my spelling, then pressed send. Seconds later, a reply popped up from Mom. Then Dad. "This is a mistake." I blocked both addresses. The days after that were quiet. A strange, weightless quiet. Ethan came over one evening with takeout again. We sat on the porch eating noodles straight from the box. He didn't bring up Claire or my parents. Instead, he told me about a customer at his bar who tried to pay with Canadian coins and charm. When he left, he said, "You look lighter." "I am," I said. "It's weird." "Not weird. You just stopped carrying what wasn't yours." After he drove off, I stood in the doorway, the night air cool against my face. Inside, Tyler was drawing on the coffee table, a rocket blasting away from a small, dark planet. "Mom," he said, without looking up, "do you think it's okay if we never go back to Nani's?" "Yeah," I said, "I think it's more than okay." He smiled, soft and certain. "Good." 2 weeks later, I went to his school's open house. Posters lined the hallway. Crayon sons, stick figure families, uneven handwriting, spelling my favorite place as home. A woman approached me with a polite smile. "You must be Evelyn's cousin's mom." Claire told us all about you. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. She kept talking, cheerful and oblivious. You'll have to bring Tyler to the next family event. Claire said they're hoping the cousins can meet soon. I didn't correct her. I just nodded, excused myself, and walked straight to my car. The night air outside the school smelled like crayons and asphalt. I sat behind the wheel for a long minute, letting the silence stretch until it turned from hurt into clarity. They were rewriting the story already. In their version, I was the stubborn sister who isolated herself, the dramatic one who made things complicated. In their version, I'd never defended a child. I'd ruined a party. But in mine, the real one, I'd stopped choosing tolerance over truth. When I got home, I opened a new draft in my email app. To Mom, Dad, Claire. Subject. Final note. Stop. Tyler isn't a subplot in Claire's story. Do not send updates. Do not include us when it's convenient. You had your chance. We chose freedom. Goodbye. I hit send, shut my laptop, and finally exhaled. That night, for the first time in years, I slept without dreaming of doors. 3 quiet months passed, the kind of quiet that used to scare me, but now it felt like air. Tyler was thriving. He'd joined the after-school art club, filled his walls with sketches of comic heroes and planets, and started sleeping through the night again. No more stomach aches before family gatherings, no more nervous questions about who would be nice to him this time. Peace had texture now, like sunlight on clean sheets. I was finally getting used to it when a letter arrived. Folded like a school note, my father's handwriting. 2 pages. The first was an essay about family mistakes and how time heals all wounds. The second, at the bottom, read, "Even Claire says she's open to seeing Tyler now. Isn't that something?" I stared at that line until it blurred. Open to seeing Tyler. As if my son's existence were a negotiation. I shoved the letter into the junk drawer with spare batteries and old keys. That same evening, Ethan came over. He found me sitting at the kitchen counter, the letter still half visible under a coupon book. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded. "Just tired." He poured 2 glasses of water, set one in front of me, and said, "You don't owe anyone an encore." I smiled faintly. Funny, Claire always thought life was a stage. He leaned on the counter, thoughtful. Let her play to an empty theater then. For once I didn't argue. A week later, during Tyler's school open house, a new teacher smiled at us. "You must be Evelyn's cousin," she chirped. "Claire told us all about you. She said the kids might meet soon." Tyler looked up at me, confused. I smiled gently at him and said, "Let's go check out your art table." We didn't correct her. We didn't have to. Some misunderstandings don't deserve correction. They deserve distance. That night, when Tyler fell asleep, I opened my laptop one last time. 2. Mom, Dad, Claire. Subject. Closure. Please stop contacting me. Tyler is not a test of your redemption. I wish you peace, but we're no longer part of your story. Caitlin. I clicked send, then deleted every thread that came before it. My inbox was suddenly clean, silent. And it felt good. Weeks turned into months. No more emails, no phone calls, no letters. Tyler's laughter became the soundtrack of our evenings, burning grilled cheese sandwiches, building Lego skyscrapers, spilling paint on the floor. One night, while cleaning out a storage closet, I found a box labeled Claire's engagement decor. Inside were gold napkin rings, a candle that smelled like vanilla frosting, and a place card that said, "Reserved for Andy M." I looked at it for a long time, remembering the dinner where everyone toasted to her perfect life. Then I threw the entire box in the trash. There was no satisfaction in it, just space. A few days later, a coworker sent me a screenshot from Facebook. My mother had posted a photo from Evelyn's first birthday. Pastel balloons, matching dresses, smiling faces. The caption read, "Grateful to have most of the family together today." Most. There was no empty chair in the photo, no sign I'd ever been expected. I laughed, not bitterly, just quietly. Because that's the thing about people who rewrite history. They forget that peace isn't found in the version they post. It's found in the one you live. I closed the photo, set my phone down, and looked across the room. Tyler was sprawled on the couch, doodling in his sketchbook. He looked up at me. "Mom?" "Yeah?" He grinned. I think I finally figured out how to draw flying right. I walked over and sat beside him. His page showed a small boy with a red cape soaring above a city, eyes open, smiling. "Looks perfect," I said. And for the first time, I believed it. Because we weren't escaping anymore. We were free.